Shadow Tower was released by From Software in 1998 for the PS1, though North America didn't get the game until about a year later. It's sort of a spin-off of the Kingsfield series and features similar gameplay, but there are a few differences that separate the two a lot. Like, for example, in Kingsfield you walk around in first person using L2 and R2 to look up and down and explore dungeons embedded into an overworld. In Shadow Tower, the entire game is one huge dungeon that surprisingly manages to vary itself up quite a bit. Atmosphere is where I think the games differ the most, and I'll be getting into that as we continue, but for now let's push start and begin our dungeon crawl. Deep in the forest, beside an ancient tower, there was once a town. Darkness swallowed all and closed a gate. What is the meaning of these words? Darkness came again, and Zepta was devoured. A young warrior came to challenge with an A instead of an E the darkness, and we are that challenger. The game's manual actually sets up a bit more story than that, but it doesn't amount to much other than giving our character a name and saying that he's a mercenary who chose to save the souls of the people trapped in this tower. Or something like that, at least. Boom. Now we're in the game. I didn't edit anything out after that cutscene. The game, much like Kingsfield, just pops you into it. Looking to our left and right, we'll see that we're definitely in a tower, but looking down makes it clear that we should watch our step, and I almost fell. The obvious path is down the stairs, but I've just decided that I'm a coward and want to leave the Shadow Tower. Well, it was worth a shot. Turning around, we'll see one of Shadow Tower's biggest obstacles. The draw distance is essentially nothing. Just a few seconds ago, the other side of the chamber was super clear. Now it's engulfed in a black fog. This is a big difference from Kingsfield and also a key factor in how you play the game. Entering the hallway, we find a door. Let's open it Resident Evil style and see what's on the other side. Before we get into combat, I'm going to explore the menu a little bit by hitting select. The stats on the left is pretty standard stuff. The menu itself is pretty standard too, but I have to admit that any game that takes the time to include a creature book gets a thumbs up from me. We don't have anything to use or equip, but if we check out the window, we'll see that we begin with a short sword. Dura stands for durability, and the game is brutal with how it handles your equipment. I can't help but think it's funny that a game that's more unforgiving than most starts off with a weapon that isn't even completely repaired. I'll leave the arrange items and creature book screens alone for now to check out the equip screen. We actually have to wait for this one to load, but we have stats galore to check out in the meantime. I always like it when games let you know the specifics about your equipment and character stats, even if sometimes they're kind of superfluous. Long story short, there's a lot of things that we can equip in this game. At the end of the hallway, we hit our first enemies. 3 slimes, and they look scary. There's a chance that this room can spawn a red slime that's a bit tougher, but the RNG was not on my side. Combat is pretty basic. You attack with triangle when you're close to the enemy, but the hitboxes on certain weapons are just garbage, as you're about to see. I basically have to be on top of the slime to land a hit. Anyway, in addition to your attack first two slimes dropped bottles of something, but the last one dropped a helmet, which is good because we're gonna need it. Back near the entrance is a hidden file. Let's pick that up too and see what it is. We just picked up a healing potion, which is more common than you'd probably think, especially since it gives you back all of your HP no matter what and not just a chunk off of it. The stuff the slimes dropped was anti-venom, which cures poison. The slimes have a chance to inflict it on you, but I was lucky there. We can jump up to this altar, and it gives me a really good excuse to say that the aesthetics and design of these different areas is pretty much my favorite part about exploring them. Unfortunately, the book and candle don't do anything, but the quilted armor hiding under our shoes definitely will. Before we face the spider staring us down to the left, I'm going to equip the helmet we found. I have pretty bad arachnophobia, so even these bony spiders kind of make my skin crawl. I'll be glad when we kill them. This first spider always drops a weapon, but I've seen the weapon be both a mace and a morning star. We got the mace, which has a lot less speed, but way more strength and smashing damage. I should also mention the bar beneath our HP. Basically, it just means that your attacks will only do maximum damage if the bar is full, so you can't spam. This spider always drops a shield, which is definitely a help. In King's Field, equipping shields just gives you a passive defense boost, but in Shadow Tower you have to actively use them. Also, I finally remember right here to equip the armor that I just picked up. The shield covers up so much of the screen, it's kind of crazy. Before pressing on, we're going to check out the corner behind us. Next to the pillar is another healing potion, but we can read the red writing on the wall. Comrades who failed in your quest, sleep quietly now in your sealed foundation. First thing after reading that, it becomes pretty clear that this is some kind of doom. That voice clip freaking terrified me my first time through. It's extremely off-putting and I still don't know what it actually is, to be honest. Nothing in this area makes a noise like that, and it's the only time that I heard it here. I can only assume it's just a jump scare-esque thing. Was it we who sinned, or is it the blood of man itself which is the crime? So yeah, this game is pretty heavy right from the get-go. I feel like Shadow Tower does a great job of letting you know what you should expect from it as you continue. It just has some of the most intense atmosphere on the whole console, in my opinion. And you may or may not have noticed it because I've been talking a lot, but this area has absolutely no music, and that's because the entire game, from start to finish, has literally no music at all, and that's probably the most tangible difference between it and King's Field, which always had a theme specific to the area you were in. This was a false wall, and opening it up revealed an angry skeleton, probably because he's been locked in there for so long. Luckily for us, this enemy is super easy to cheese because he's unable to walk past a certain point in the hallway. You have to be careful once he dies, though, because another spawns immediately after, but this is the last one. Finding this false wall nets us a pretty big upgrade for the shield we just got. That was the false wall shutting behind us again. There's a door here at the end of the hallway, but it leads to a later area, and I don't find it very beneficial to jump to it at this point. This chess piece looking thing is a soul pod that contains 5 spirits that we can use to enhance literally any stat for our character. And yes, that includes those classic RPG stats that you know and love, like your particle stat and your melting stat. Stepping into this graveyard, we see these chuckling bat demon things. Besides the fact that they hang upside down, besides the fact that they hang upside down off of the ceiling, the noise they make is really interesting. They shoot projectiles, but they're pretty slow and they can't shoot behind themselves. They both dropped weapons, something that quite a few enemies in this game do, and that's really helpful considering that weapons can break very easily and become unusable. Our mace has already lost 2 durability just from those few enemies we killed, so we'll switch to the deadly short sword. Looks pretty cool. The torch item is the only thing you can use to give yourself some leeway with the draw distance. It lights up an area for a short amount of time. Also, these spiders can randomly spawn without warning, and that's another way the game tells you that you should always be aware of what's going on around you. All of these graves have small metal fences around them, except for 2. Inspecting this one, we receive a Cune, which is the currency of the game. Inspecting it again spawns a skeleton. Unfortunately, we're back to a slashing weapon, which they're more resistant to, and we can't cheat like we did with the last one, but I think we'll be fine. Another healing potion. See what I mean? I'm grateful for the drop rate. The second fenceless grave opens up to a big ol' hole. This is once again a shortcut to a later area, but once again I don't like to take it. Through this hallway is another loading transition door. This one we'll be heading through. This is the hidden region of the human world, and its entrance is a lot different to the solitary regions. It's a lot more cramped, and given our experience with the previous area, that puts puts you on edge a lot more. It also sports a change in color palette. On the right here, we meet our first NPC.
A human. Oh well, what do you want?
This unfriendly lizard lady serves as a shopkeeper that we can exchange our cues with. Considering the fact that we only have one, I'm gonna hold on to it, though a few of the items we could purchase with it are pretty useful, especially the sacred feather, which teleports you back to your most recent save point. Anyway, let's continue to explore the hidden region. This seems to be a torture room. There are items behind this cell door, but we can't open it. There's even an Iron Maiden in here. This box in the corner is an item called Dorado's Ashes. Its description says that it fixes items and weapons. This is true, but it doesn't repair them completely, unfortunately. There's a split path here, but there was a bit of text in the previous room that I forgot to read. Agony, enmity, and despair. These are my pleasures. I need new playthings. Yeah, definitely a torture room. I got a little lost in this area actually, and I tend to get lost a lot in this game, even when using maps that people have made online. It just feels like there are so many branching paths and you can't keep track of them because of the view distance. Oh right, that's another difference from Kingsfield. There aren't any maps either. I'm definitely not looking to go to a new area. Let's try the other path. This area is especially difficult because the rooms and hallways are a lot harder for me to differentiate. It's also a lot darker than the solitary region. But I think we're in a new room now because I don't remember a red slime. You'll notice I'm skipping a lot of enemies here, and this is just so I can get to the first save point, which is available right over here. Thank goodness. I've had to replay the first 20 minutes of Shadow Tower a lot, but everything went pretty smoothly this time, and this is where I'm going to call the video. Thanks a bunch for spending your time with me, and I hope you enjoyed seeing this small snippet of what Shadow Tower has to offer. See you next time.